to the Portland Real Estate Podcast, Oregon and Southwest Washington's #1 show for real estate news and information. Without further ado, here are your hosts and a couple of guys who, as busy realtors and successful brokerage owners, know a thing or two about real estate. Steve Nassar of Premier Property Group and Joe Fustolo of Soldera Properties. Welcome to the Portland Real Estate Podcast. This is Steve Nassar. My co-host Joe Fustolo is here with me. It's been a couple months. It's been a few months since we've been on here, but that's okay. We don't like to force episodes. We like to let them organically and naturally happen when we have great stuff to talk about. And I can truthfully tell you, we have an action-packed agenda for you today. Lots of great stuff to talk about. Before we kick that off, welcome, Joe, by the way.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Before we kick that off, I do want to mention, as I was getting on here, I noticed that Masters is about to hit the big 10,000 members.
Yeah, we were over 10,000, but our fabulous moderators are really good at kicking out people that don't play nice in the sandbox.
Oh, yeah.
And these are people who commit that I will read, remember, understand, and obey the rules. And then and then they have to prove that they're in real estate or real estate related field. And then we grant them access, and then they come in hot and they're like, "Hey, my name's Dave and I own a lending company and do all your business with me." And they get immediately booted. And so they're booting 5 or 6 or 7 people a day. And if someone is like starting a referral pod, they'll boot 25 people.
I saw that. That was a recent thing. Yeah. Well, the good news is, big picture, it's still growing. It's still growing. It's growing, and it because I remember when we started this well over about 10 years ago, maybe a little over. It was probably 5,000 or 6,000. So it's doubled. Our anniversary is January 20th.
Oh, are you talking the podcast?
I'm talking the podcast. When we started doing Best of Masters.
Yeah, Masters is like 14 years old, I think.
Yeah. No, when we started doing this podcast and we'd live stream and incorporate it into the Masters Facebook group. Well, moving on from that subject, Joe and I got on here a little early. We're kind of spitballing. I'm gonna have a little fun right now, Joe. Just to
great.
Warm up the crowd for you.
There you go.
We were on here. We were kind of spitballing what we're going to talk about. We're lining up our agenda and the order that we're going to go over things. And we actually were done a little early. It was like 11:15. We're like, well, what are we going to talk about for 15 minutes? And I go, well, how's your business, Joe? And I was like, no, wait, don't answer that. Don't answer that. I want to genuinely ask you that on the air. And I don't want to have to, try to force interest and excitement into your answer because you've already told it to me once. So
right. Don't want to waste it offline.
Yeah. So then I asked you another question. I was like, no, wait, don't answer that one either. So then we were like, what is something we can talk about that we don't want to talk about on the air? And we ended up talking about Joe's remodel at his house. He just had a bidet put in.
Yes.
He agreed. And we had an interesting conversation about bidets and usages. And in fact, Joe mentioned that his does everything but feed you breakfast, which I acknowledged is probably a good thing.
That it doesn't
be breakfast. And we agreed then and there that, maybe this was the right conversation to have off air, because we probably didn't want to have this conversation about the pros and cons of bidets on the air, even though now I'm going against that and I'm having a little fun with it.
But it's super relevant. And I've been asked about, bidets and where you get them and what do you think? And they're super fancy now and they get pretty pricey too. But they have a fan and you can adjust the aim of the squirter, and it could be a stream or a spray, and it lights up when you walk by it, which is great for the middle of the night. I mean, all kinds of stuff. And
I had lots of questions, audience. I had lots of questions. I'm not a big bidet person, but so I had lots of questions about like systems and processes, and it was a fascinating conversation.
Well, if we ever have another, COVID-20 and there's a toilet paper shortage, I'm going to be okay.
There you go.
I'll be okay.
That is a good ancillary benefit of a bidet.
That's right.
We were going to also start with a couple little, just some interesting. I almost said the word fun because one of these is not fun. It's the Mac Club situation because you're a member of the Mac Club. Why don't we talk about that, Joe?
Yeah. So if I'm wearing a lot of dark black shirts, to hide fat, it's not because I'm not working out on purpose, but a disgruntled Multnomah Club employee drove a rented SUV full of explosives into the Multnomah Club, where he ended up dying in the car fire. And thankfully, not all of the bombs went off. But you've been to the Multnomah Club, but to tell you kind of, this guy drove through the glass into the main lobby, turned left, drove through the glass stiles that you hold your member QR code and the doors open, went down past the library, past the big dining room, when you have conventions and stuff, past the sports pub to the Founders Club, which is the dining room, and then drove through the glass doors of the dining room. And that's where his first arson, bomb blew up and he died in the car fire there. Thankfully, not all the bombs went off. And most of the damage is from the sprinkler system of the water because it put out the fire. It was very effective, but it went down 3 levels. And so it's closed. It's closed. It said it will not open until at least until mid-May. But
a year.
It just said it's closed until mid-May. We need to assess and do all this stuff. They're going to try and, I think, route us in through a different door, and we can still use a lot of the facilities. I mean, the place is massive.
Yeah.
I want to get back to the gym.
Yeah. You've been a member there for a long time, right, Joe?
Yeah, since I was born.
Wow.
So
yeah,
it's really all I know, and I like it. It's really not a prestigious thing for me. It's just it's the Mac. It's where you go and you work out, and sometimes you go watch a soccer game or go have a beverage or whatever you want.
That part's so cool about the place. I've been there. Dozens of times over the years. Usually events. I think PMAR held some events there.
Yeah.
Circle of Excellence, or whatever they called it.
Master's Circle. Before the name change. Yeah. And various other events over the years. And no, it's always been. It's just never been convenient for me because I live, out in Lake Oswego, and I go to Bay Club there. Yeah, I'm in West Lynn.
That aside, no one questions. It's a very prestigious, beautiful place, and I love. I remember we used to have the baseball team there. You'd be able to watch those, and now the soccer team, and it's 12 miles door to door for me, and I save all my phone calls for driving there, do my workout, shower, and then I'm off into the world, and it's not that big a deal. Yeah. The crown jewel of Portland for sure. And it's an unfortunate turn of events. This is one of the subjects we started talking about off the air. And I was like, wait, no, don't talk about this.
Yeah.
I wanted to hear what
So you had, and I'm sorry I couldn't attend. I was out of town, but you had a big open house where you had a Lamborghini of Portland show up, and it was a massive waterfront home. And I missed it. So, give me the highlights on that.
Yeah, so we've had this listing since the late fall. Obviously, it's on the water, so we're in peak season right now. We had an opportunity to partner with Lamborghini of Portland, and this is a car lover's house. It's a 10-car garage, brand new, gorgeous. I'm sorry, it's not brand new. The home was built in the 90s, but my owner seller went in and effectively made it brand new.
It's gorgeous.
Walls, lifted ceilings, did everything. Every fit and finish is new. And it's just a great layout with an ADU above one of the garages. It's 9,000 square feet. It's got a 10-car garage.
What's the current price? I know prices change.
$6.6 million.
What was that?
$6.6 million.
Okay, 6.6.
It's right there in Lake Oswego. It is a Lake Oswego address. It's right on the border of West Lynn. You don't have to go many houses further south to be in West Lynn. But yeah, we had an awesome event. We brought in a Lamborghini in Portland. They did some test driving. I got to drive. I think it's called a Huracan, which is a car, Joe. Have you ever driven a Lamborghini? An actual car?
No.
Yeah. It's a fire-breathing dragon. It was I got to take one of those out for a little spin. We went out into Stafford Pete's Mountain, which is one of my favorite areas, as far around Oregon Golf Club and stuff. So that thing is just wicked. I mean, it was just wicked. I also drove the Urus, which is the SUV, the 4-door SUV, which is actually a pretty cool SUV. I'd be lying if I didn't say I'm thinking about maybe would love the idea of getting one of those, since I've got a young kid, putting a little car seat in the back there for her.
What do those go for? Like the
$350? Yeah. They're a chunk of change, but they are a Lamborghini, and they truly sound like a Lamborghini. They have back popping like a Lamborghini.
Oh yeah,
fast as all get out. They're beautiful. They're just absolutely beautiful, and they have a really kind of a mean look to them. If you ever see one, they actually have this kind of it's a cool look, even cooler in my opinion than the Ferrari SUV. I think that one's a little bit more subdued.
Yeah,
it just has kind of a bad look to it. Yeah,
I saw the video. It looked like you had barbecue and
we brought
music and
vendor that did some really cool food stuff. We had some music. We had a ton of people come through. It was a 2-day event, Saturday and Sunday.
Great.
Total of 10 hours. I was there the whole time. We had a ton of people come through. It was a really, really fun, and we couldn't have had better weather. It was 88 degrees on Sunday.
Perfect.
Oh yeah, it was cool. I did a recent class,
and you sold 2 Lamborghinis.
I did a recent class for at OMSI, where I was talking about luxury and selling luxury, and one of the questions I proposed to the class, I was like, do broker opens work? And I said, and I'll just say quickly what I said in the class. And if somebody wants to go to a future class, we're going to have a couple more of these in the future. You can hear the entire answer. I said, it depends, and it's complicated. It's complicated, and it depends. And, because you know as well as I do, Joe, I mean, if you have $1 million house in Forest Heights and you hold a broker's open, you might get 10 people there, and 7 of them are mortgage and title people, right?
Yeah.
And you put all this money into food, you put all this money into the invitation, all this effort. Your seller knows all the effort you're putting into it. And then you just have this big dud of a event. And it can be a momentum buster. Your seller's like, well, gosh, that's disappointing. And unless you're lying to your seller and saying 1,000 people came, which you shouldn't do either, by the way.
Right.
And so it can be a momentum buster. So what I say in the class is, for the right property and the right circumstances, such as this with a partnership like Lamborghini, they can be really effective. You can get a lot of people there. You can, some of those people, may have clients, or in the future, clients may reach out to them who they go, yeah, I've been to that house. And that is helpful. So they do have a place. They shouldn't, in my opinion, it shouldn't be every listing, not even every high-end listing.
Yeah. Agreed.
Really special ones, and, maybe with some special circumstances around them. I'm deviating from our agenda, but this has been a great warm-up.
Okay, we got a lot to talk about, so let's dive in.
Okay, let's talk about the market, Joe.
Okay.
Now I'm going to ask you, on the air, with all of our audience listening, myself hearing it for the first time, how's your business? What are you seeing out there? How are you? How are your agents?
It is, it's a little crazy right now. We've been kind of waiting for spring, and spring came early in January and February. And then, the Iran conflict really stymied things, with the stock market crashing, the rates spiked. And
you actually feel it slow down business, though? I mean, seriously?
Because
it feels like it should have, but I don't feel like it did as much as it seemed.
Well, when the rates went to 6.69, it was the stopper. But I have a lot of cash buyers, and it doesn't affect them at all. Matter of fact, the higher the rate, maybe the better they can sneak in with cash and get a better price. But it did sort of stall. And when you have economic doubt, and in the face of adversity, people shelter in place and don't do anything, and they wait it out. And that's kind of what happened. Now, fast forward to today, I'm running around with my hair on fire, and my wife went with one of her girlfriends to.
Bidets help with that.
With your hair on fire, yes, so they would put it out. It would. I highly recommend 5 stars. But my wife went to Cabo, San Jose del Cabo area for 2 weeks, and they're like, hey, can you come too? And I'm like, I can't. This is. I am running around doing what I love doing, and thankful that I'm so busy. So I think
it's good, doesn't it?
It feels great.
Yeah, I'm
not complaining.
I remember during COVID, a lot of us were kind of over the busyness, right? And not just our industry. I remember in mortgage and title, they're just like, give me a freaking day off. But having gone through the last few years that we've gone through, it feels good to be busy. It's very welcome change. Activity, buyers making offers, everything. Yeah. Yep.
I'll take it all day. So,
yeah.
A little segment of a speech I give is the title is Embrace Your Suck. And what that means is no matter how you look at anything, there's always an element of it that sucks. And you could be very, very busy and you're up early in the morning, you work till late at night and you don't have any free time, but you are making so much money. That's the byproduct. That's the positive thing, but it sucks. You have no time. Or you could be a horrible realtor, go on no appointments and have all the free time in the world and then just make zero money. So which sucks more?
Yeah.
Having free time being broke or having no free time and getting rewarded handsomely?
Yeah.
I will always pick, be busy, make a difference, make a positive difference. The COVID thing sucked because you're very tired about submitting an offer for your buyer. There happens to be 15 offers. It goes for $175,000 over list. And look, there's only one winner, right? And then 14 people are disappointed on a 15 offer scenario. I am glad that's over. And to our market conditions today, our inventory is up 16%. So it's no longer a seller's market. It's not necessarily a buyer's market, but buyers are negotiating more. Sellers who do not price correctly are adding to this inventory because it's taking longer days on the market. Our rates are bouncing between 6.2 and 6.4. And the magic number that we all believe to be true is, there's nothing new anymore. The 2.5% it's over with, and people acknowledge that. But 6% or below is the magic number. That's when you'll see the market explode. Mm-hmm.
And we got there. That was what I experienced. Is we were there in the late fall, winter, December. We were at like 5.99, right around 6%. What feels like to me, let me jump in here a little bit with what I'm experiencing, Joe. First of all, we had our best first quarter ever. Now, I'm not saying the market's better than COVID, but because we just have more business than COVID. We've grown our business and agents on my team and the listings we have since COVID. So we did have our best first quarter ever. And it started early. Really early. Like I was around Christmas and the holidays, I was getting phone calls going, hey, we want to be on the market January. And so we were doing walkthroughs, in late December that we just aren't normally having, or listing appointments even, getting things ready to go on the market in early January. And then sure enough, the new year rolled around and everything got busy. Listings that we'd had for 6-7 months suddenly popped.
Yeah.
All of them. And
multiple offers like 30 days later, all of a sudden.
Just felt really, really good. And then the whole Iran thing started. I honestly don't think we felt a lot of slowdown from that. I do have a couple clients that I can point at and say, yes, they were talking to us and they pumped the brakes. They're no longer talking. They're waiting a year or so because of that situation. And the rates that did, with the oil, the price of oil going up and inflationary concerns and the strait being closed, there was a lot of concerns there that caused mortgage rates to jump up pretty dramatically. Mm-hmm. But honestly, we didn't feel it. We still were getting offers and we were getting a lot of activity, and most of our clients were proceeding forward, which kind of has me feeling like people are getting a little bit used to noise. I mean, the consumer is just. Remember last year the tariffs and how they crushed our spring season, and it just probably one of the worst springs I've ever experienced, and summers ultimately. And let's be honest, 2025 just sucked in general. It just was not a good year.
Every year there's something. 2024, the NAR changes of buyer rep agreements and stuff. This
time around, it feels like to me that maybe, just maybe, people with some pent-up demand late last year probably decided, hey, rates are under 6%. And I'm talking about late last year. They're under 6%. Now's the time to finally do something. I've got a 3% mortgage. Yeah, it's 3% higher, but I really need something different. I really need that extra bedroom. I really want that bigger backyard. I really want to be on the other side of town, whatever the case is. And so those people kind of committed. And once they rolled into the new year with that commitment that they were doing something this year and they started executing on that, they didn't stop just because there was some geopolitical situation that emerged. And to be fair, and Joe, you've been around a long time like I have, geopolitics doesn't necessarily always hurt real estate.
True.
Transactions. I mean, I started in 2003 during the Iraq War, and there was a pretty booming market there for about 3-4 years leading into the, to when it crashed shortly thereafter in 2008, 2007.
Yeah.
But, so, foreign wars, around the world don't always equate to a slowdown in business per se. Now, and I think what people also see, and one thing that I see with the news cycle as it is, one day it's like, hey, now there's a ceasefire and it's going to hopefully end. And then the next day they're like, nope, it's not a ceasefire. Nope. It's so, and if somebody's going to base, this is my expert opinion.
Sure.
Base whether you buy a house on that, you're going to start and stop a lot. Oh, yeah. Maybe the ceasefire is going to stick. Let's buy a house. Nope. Oh, no, they shot another boat. Let's stop, not buy a house. It feels like a lot of people have just drowned that out, right? They've drowned that out, maybe even with the expectation. I know Wall Street was rallying today with the expectation that, hey, both sides seem to want to end this. And we could have a really, really good year if that were the case, right? If there was a meaningful ceasefire that goes into place, the strait gets opened up, oil prices come down, maybe mortgage rates and inflationary concerns come down. We have a new chair coming in, Fed chair coming in, who you have to assume wants rates lower if he can make it happen. So yeah, the market does feel a little bit busier. It does feel a little bit busier, and data has shown it. RMLS March data showed, I think, a 5 to 10% increase year over year in activity, pendings, and solds.
Well, the two things hold true, and that is life doesn't slow down so everyone can sell high and buy low. Like life happens, death, divorce, losing a job, getting married, having babies, getting transferred. When you have a real estate need, you have a real estate need. And unless it's just an egregious, horrible market, you're going to solve your problem by selling and buying. The other thing is, the golden handcuffs are the people that locked in 2.5. And it's like, I am going to die in this house because I have a 2.5% interest rate. Well, if they locked in at 4.25% and our rates are coming down to like 6 or below 6, all of a sudden that isn't so substantial. And then look, you've built, years of equity in your house. You're rolling over more money. Your payment's probably going to be the same. Not a big deal. But I mean, there were people that are like, our lowest was 2.5. Our highest, August of 24, we were 8.25 for just a week. It was terrible. And that is enough to make people stop. But where we are now, I think if you have a need and it's a strong enough need, you're going to make that move. And 6 or lower is the magic number where everybody's doing stuff.
Yeah. Think about it, Joe. Every year that goes by, the average mortgage rate percentage, the percentage of the average mortgage rate is trickling up. And let me explain that. In 2021, what was the average rate of every mortgage out there? Probably 3%, right? Because if you needed it, you refi, right?
Yeah.
Come 2023, what's the average rate? Well, maybe it's 3.2 because a few people are buying at 6%, 7%, and that's bringing up the average. 2024, now it's 3.4% because more people have bought at the higher rates. I think and here we are, 3 years later, 2026. I think I've heard recently that the average rate is somewhere in the 4s, right? Now, that there's plenty of people that still have that 2.5, 3, but there's a lot of people that have bought since then or bought on the way up, and they're bringing that average up. So I think that's a little part of it too, is time will eventually unlock some of these opportunities and make it so that the market's not so frozen.
And there is a balance. I mean, when we were at 2.5, so look at COVID, 2020 to roughly 2022, maybe the first part of 2023, you're getting a 2.5% rate or 2.75, but you're paying $175,000 more for the house because the cost of money is so low. I mean, what if you paid the asking price for the house, but you were at 6%? Your payment's probably lower or comparable. And, a lot of, in 23 to 25, when our market corrected from that, I think there were a lot of upside down people, maybe not totally upside down. I mean, if you put enough money down, you're paying for your equity that you have through down payment. But I mean, for what they paid for it versus what they could sell it for in 23 and 25, they wouldn't be able to get the price they paid.
Yeah. I just went to a listing appointment this week in Northwest Portland, kind of on the flat parts there. Nice house. She's put a lot into it. She bought it in May of 2020. It was listed at 1.6. She went $200,000 over. She got it for 1.8. She's not a great spot in the house equity wise because of that and so much that she's put into it. But it was just a great reminder. I mean, $200,000 over asking price during that time period. So, let's move on, Joe. We've still got a lot to cover.
Yes, we do.
We're going to talk about some of the mergers and acquisitions that are happening in this industry, and there is no shortage of them. There seems to be a lot of people in. It feels to me, correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, but a lot of people are playing the game of bigger's better. Bigger's better. Let's make our brokerage as big as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got Real Purchases Remax, which is a massive purchase, and then Compass bought Anywhere, and we'll talk a little bit more about Compass and some of the coming soon chatter that's coming out of that here in a second. What's your take on all that stuff going on, Joe?
Well, Real is...
Bigger always better, by the way.
No, it isn't.
Depends on how you get bigger, but I mean, if you're clashing cultures...
Well, there's something to say for scale, right? You can do more. If you have a big scale, you can do more. You have more influence. To me, acquisitions have to work. Real is kind of a newer up-and-coming company. They're large. And they're buying Remax, which they've been around for a long time. I think the average Remax age probably went down by 20 years when this acquisition happened. And to me, that isn't necessarily a great acquisition. I don't see Remax brokers flourishing in the real space and vice versa. Now, there's some companies that are just kind of synonymous of one another. And if they get together, then it's great. But I don't think this one is really ideal because RE/MAX, for the most part, hasn't changed much over the years. And Real is evolving and they embrace technology. And but now it's one big mass of people, and I think it was $860 million for the sale, something like that.
Which is all debt, by the way. That's all debt.
It's all debt.
They didn't have that in the bank, so they went to Wall Street and private equity, and they got debt, which means they've got massive debt on their books, which they're going to pay that debt back somehow, right?
Yeah.
And what does that mean in the way of fees and pass-through costs to their agents at some point, right? What I find interesting, these acquisitions, I should call them, in my opinion, they do a couple things that are negative. They change focus. Okay. I've observed Real from a distance. I don't know them very well, but they seem like they had their stuff together. They seem like they're a new and up and coming company with good focus.
Yeah.
Good systems like, hey, let's do this. And they're executing it well. Now they just bought some big giant behemoth. So is the focus of the company going to be on what it was before, which is let's make our culture and our company the best it can be? Or is it like, let's absorb? It makes me think of like a snake that just ate a giant rat, right?
Yeah.
Digest what we just took in.
Yeah.
And it gets really slow and slothish, and like we gotta go through this thing. We gotta kick the good out, kick the bad out, find the good, make sure these agents stay with us, somehow make them look like us, right? I mean, what's the point of being the same company if they're going to look completely different? And you got to think that's a multi-year process. That's not going to happen in a week or month, right? So it just makes me think that they're not going to innovate on their core competencies quite the same way. I think the same a lot about Compass, right? Compass, by all measures, they're not really here in our market much, Joe. There's a little bit, I think, up in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
But by all accounts, I've never thought negative of Compass. I thought they had a decent model, and I've paid attention to their growth elsewhere in the country, and it seemed like it was doing well. But now that they purchased Anywhere, is their focus on Compass, or is it on this huge conglomerate with all these, different brands, and somehow trying to unify them, or not unify them, but feel like it's unified? And so then again, my question is, are you innovating? Is Compass getting better, or is it just going to stay dormant while they figure out how to digest this massive entity that they just swallowed, like a snake swallowing a rat?
Well, it's if the companies aren't sort of on an even playing field, and I don't think Real is similar to RE/MAX. I think it's kind of oil and water. The problem is that your assets in any acquisition, your assets have legs. And if they're like, I'm not going to deal with this merger or acquisition, I'm going to go over to PPG or Soldera or wherever, they can do that. They don't have to live through the growing pains of this, where the Real side is trying to make RE/MAX be more like them or vice versa.
Yeah.
And that's what's difficult. Compass, I think, did it more organic way, that it was an explosion, kind of like, EXP, when EXP sort of got into the business, or Real. Compass is kind of doing that too, and they're getting larger, and I think they're doing a lot of recruiting and trying to get like techie people. I don't know a whole bunch about them, but they're big enough to maybe influence how real estate happens with the, what they call the Zillow ban, and the Compass keeping their listings in-house. You want to talk about that?
Let me wrap up real quick. We're almost there. Yeah. So to that point, these acquisitions, they just, to me, they feel like there's going to be culture clashes. And I think that's what you're saying too, Joe.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, growth is good. Let's be clear. You'd love your company bigger, and I'd love my company to be bigger. And our company is getting bigger, right? But we're attracting people that fit our culture. So somebody, you know, interviews with us. We tell them who we are, what we do. We find out who they are, what they do. Hey, we're a good fit. They come on over. That's a good bigger, right? Gulping down an entire company, you're bound to have people in there that aren't the right fit for you or for them, right? And now you're dealing with that. And again, that's a huge distraction of focus from your core mission, which was, hey, we're going in this direction. We're creating, we're innovating, we're improving, we're doing this, we're iterating. So it's going to be interesting. We've never, in my career, Joe, and I think you'd agree, we've never seen this before. We've never seen these massive acquisitions across well-known brands in our industry happening at the scale that we're seeing now. So it is going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. I think they are quick to justify bigger's better. Like, oh no, we're huge now. We're the biggest brokerage, or we're the second biggest brokerage, or we're the fastest growing brokerage. But I don't know if it's going to shake out for them as well as they, you know.
Right now, it's all about retention. People hate change. They hate it. And sometimes people live with really big pain points because it's the de facto thing is if I do nothing, it's easier than if I make a move to a different company. And then I got to change my social media and get new cards. And they build it up in their head like it's this massive thing. Well, all of RE/MAX did a company change. And what's worse is they didn't have any say in it. You know, their card changes, the color of their sign, everything changes, but you've had zero decision in that change. And anytime there's an acquisition, what they say is like, we're going to honor your exact fees and your exact splits, and there's going to be no changes for 6 months or a year. And then over time, it's like, you know, boiling the frog. People get used to it. They get complacent. And then when the desk fees change and it becomes to the real model, then they're like, you know what? It's easier than making a move. So in the short term, I think there's a lot of people scattering, trying to figure out what feels like the company I was at a day before the acquisition.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Let's go on to some of the drama. It's nothing short of drama around some of the coming soon chatter.
Yeah.
Especially from the CEO of Compass, Robert Refkin. I've paid close attention to it. It's a lot of noise under the guise of we're doing what's best for the seller or what the seller wants. It's really interesting. I mean, it's an interesting hill to choose to die on, in my opinion. So basically, because NAR had the clear cooperation rule, which basically said, hey, if you're going to market your listing publicly, you need to take it live right away, okay, or within 24 hours. That has now changed to where it's at the MLS level, which, by the way, in our area, our MLS is very strict about that still. So a lot of this stuff that we read in headlines doesn't really apply in our market because, for example, a lot of this stuff with coming soons and posting them publicly and doing all this stuff, you still can't do that in our MLS and be in our MLS without fines. Now, there are some, WVMLS does allow that. Did you know that, Joe? They do allow that.
I didn't. And
there are other MLSs all over the country that are like, well, yeah, whatever, do whatever you want. So they are catering to that audience. There's a lot of, realtors are smart. People are smart. The guise has been the veil has been, oh, this is what's best for the seller. This is what's best for them making the informed decision. The other talking points have been, well, builders do it all the time. I'll give you one example. The Compass has said, and I won't name names, I'll just say, as you know, people from that company who have been very vocal about this have said that, well, a lot of builders' homes are sold off market. That is true, Joe. Do you know why it's true? They listed something.
Yeah.
I have a subdivision with 65 homes. I know exactly why it's true.
Yeah.
They list something, they come there, and then you walk them across the street to something you're building and you sell it to them.
Yeah.
Okay, that model works. I didn't have to list the one across the street that I sold them because they came to the other one that was listed. Now tell me how that transfers to resale. How does that transfer to resale? If Joe or Steve is going to list 123 Main Street for Bob and Susie Smith, their one and only home, how do we have the same success that that builder had by doing what that builder did? Right? It's not possible, right? It's not possible. So that's a terrible analogy to say, hey, we should pay attention to professional sellers who are the builders. A lot of their homes they don't put on market and accumulate days on market, or have the negatives of being on market and having to adjust their prices, etc.
But builders, it could take 9 months. Everyone sees it being developed, and then they see the foundation and they see it getting built. So people know about it. It's been there for a long time. So the thing at hand that Compass is trying to do is they want to keep all of their listings private and not be
market. They want to fragment the market. Let's be honest.
They want to keep it private.
They want there to be different chunks of inventory. They now have a huge chunk of inventory between all their brands. So it is in their best interest, not buyers and sellers, their best interest to go, hey, we want this big chunk of inventory to only be accessible to our people, right? How is it better for the buyers? They have to now look at different fragmented inventories. They need to go to Compass and its umbrella of companies and look through their listings. Then they got to go look at other ones and other ones and other ones, right? So is it better for buyers? No. How is it better for sellers? Now, the seller puts, play this out. This is what's so annoying. Play this out. I'm a seller. I have a $2 million home. I meet with somebody from a Compass of sorts, and they tell me, they sell me on the fact that, hey, we don't know if your home's a $2 million home or a $2.2 million home or a $1.8 million home, which is a whole nother conversation. Maybe you should train your agents better at how to price homes, but let's move on from that. So we're gonna put it out as a coming soon at $2 million, and then we can adjust accordingly. Okay, well, let's talk that through. So you put it out at $2 million. What if you get a quick offer of $2 million? Do you go, no, we underpriced this. Go away. How is that good for the market, right? But what if, okay, now that's one scenario. What if you put it out at $2 million and it sits? Do you know if it's sitting because it's $2 million and quietly a coming soon? Or is it sitting because it's really a $1.8 million house? I don't think you know. So I'm not understanding the thought process behind why this is better for anybody.
It's not. It's when big companies, Compass and Zillow are having a battle right now.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
And they kind of settled because Zillow sort of softened what they were willing to do, and then Compass dropped it. But Compass said, hey, we're going to have all of our listings be private listings for a period of time, 30 days, 60 days. And then if it doesn't sell, then we go to coming soon. And then if it doesn't sell, then we go out to the world. Well, that's not necessarily good for the buyers, and it's not good for the sellers. I mean, you are not getting the eyes of the entire buying market and all the realtors who have potential buyers on that one listing. And this is what is motivating that. Like we took an oath to be a realtor in the code of ethics that we are working for the best interest of our clients, both buyers and sellers. This is not for that. The seller isn't getting all the exposure. They're not getting multiple buyers that maybe drive the price up. Buyers are sometimes not aware of, I would have bought that had I known. And so what they're trying to do is you have a big company and maybe 1 out of 30 homes, you have an in-company sale where you got Compass as a listing agent, Compass is a selling agent. They want to get that number to like 1 out of 5 because you're getting two sides of a transaction that you might not otherwise have had, as well as you're blocking everybody else out. So all of the listings used to be private way back in the day, in the 90s. And the realtors, when, the internet became more prevalent, the realtors and NAR and PMAR and everybody decided we're going to post our listings online and share the information. And there was a big panic. Why do people need realtors? Why will they need us if they have all the information? Well, if you don't post it on the internet and there's no information but calling the listing agent, then you essentially have become the internet. Now you got to tell them the square footage and bedrooms and bathrooms and price and everything else. It isn't efficient. Do people take that to their own advantage? Absolutely. I've had buyers that say, well, we don't need a realtor because we found it ourselves. And I'm like, well, two things. First of all, you found it yourself because we allow this to be public for you to find. Secondly, if you think that's all we do is find a house for you, then you are dumb enough to think that you don't need a realtor to cost money, which would otherwise be your savings. March forward and do your best, buddy, because you're probably going to get screwed over by a smart listing agent. It's kind of like going against a sharp attorney and representing yourself.
I don't know if I believe necessarily, even though I don't think they would be opposed to it, that Compass wants to double into every listing. I think they want to control the inventory. I did see a post that was shared with me by Robert Refkin where I think it was in the Bay Area where they do have a big presence. He said, did you know that 1 in 3 listings is now part of Compass, and only buyers working directly with Compass can see the coming soons within our inventory? And so he's trying to, propagate that buyers, you should work with a Compass agent because we have access to stuff that no one else can see. Well, by default, if he does that, then what are other agents from other brands going to do? They're going to go, well, gosh, if the buyers want to work with Compass, I should go to Compass. So he's trying to, I think the dirtiest part of it, in my opinion, is this facade of it's best for the sellers. Let's do this because it's best for the sellers. We should give them choice. Now, you don't give a flying rip about the sellers.
Yeah.
It's best for them because it's really not best for them. You're trying to create a control of the inventory so you can have more buyers working with you and possibly sellers, as well as other agents. So
recruit more agents.
Let's call it what it is.
Recruit more buyers. Yeah,
it's not better for the buyers or the sellers, and that. Fragmenting the industry, putting stuff out there in a quiet, dark, coming soon situation and pretending that's going to be how you figure out how to price it, or while limiting your days on market is a bunch of mumbo jumbo. I also think there's equal housing situations that come out of this that are not good. If you have, when we, Joe, in our market, which we have to do, when we take a listing live, everybody sees it. Everybody has a fair playing field to come look at the listing and get in line and make an offer and try to buy that house. In an environment where you are fragmenting the inventory because every brand has their own coming soon situation, you're now going to have people that didn't have access to that house. And naughty stuff can happen. I'm not saying it's intended or not intended, but things can happen where people who wanted to be somewhere did get a chance, and it's just not a good situation. It's not an even playing field. It's not out there for everyone to see, regardless of gender, race, sexual orientation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, which is what equal housing is all about.
I agree.
The other talking point I wanted to say, and then we could probably move on from this, because we've never actually talked about this, and this has been out there for a while, and we've actually had some listeners reach out to us and say, you guys need to talk about this subject.
Yeah.
is there a scenario where let's just play this out, and let's just say everybody wakes up one day, you and me and every MLS and everybody, and we go, yeah, we should do a coming soon. We should all do a coming soon. We should all put it out there as a coming soon, whether that's on Zillow, like Keller Williams is now trying to do, or it's on Redfin, like the Compass brand is trying to do. Does the coming soon just become the new go live? And what's the difference?
So the COVID days are over, and coming soon isn't effective in all markets. I mean, if you're 86 days on market, what's a coming soon going to do? It might do something if you have people lining up at the door and they really want to see it. And look, we're not, disruptors in our market is not foreign to us. And I use the word disruptors because the word I want to use, I can't say live on this podcast. But they go in and they shoot their shot, and it usually doesn't work. And Zillow has been a big offender of this. Hell, they got into the real estate market 4 years ago. Their Zestimate changes. They get into the real estate market and they're buying houses, and all of a sudden their Zestimate went down. And then they bought houses based on an algorithm, and then they turn around and sell them. Well, they lost their investors $750 million, and then they just tapped out and said, this isn't working. And then those estimates went back up when they bowed out. Everybody kind of shoots their shot, and a lot of them don't work. And I think Compass is trying to control the market. They're using it as a recruiting tool. They're using it as a recruit buyers tool. And I don't know how you sell it to buyers or sellers that this is a good thing, because it should be an even playing field with everybody, including, all genders and colors and sexual orientations and religions. It should be. And why would a seller want to have their listing not be out there for the world to see? Only this one company. I mean, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah, and so I asked the question, okay, is your listing ready to go live? Because if it is, why are you not live? Why don't you want everyone to see it? If it's not ready to go live, let's say you don't have all your marketing done. Let's say you don't have your best photos, you don't have your best videos, you don't have then why do you want it out there? Why don't you wait until everything's great, look and perfect?
Yeah.
So and so again, if in our world, the go live date was when the world saw it, and Compass and even KW now want to make it so that the world sees it when it's coming soon, isn't that your new go live date? Like, isn't that when people see it? It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Here's what I'll end this on, Joe. There's a lot of noise about this, a lot of it, and it's a bunch of crap. It does it to smart people who in our industry especially, but even outside of our industry, they see through what these companies are trying to do, in particular Compass. They see what they're trying to do. They see that this isn't really better for buyers and sellers. They see that they're trying to put like a veil over people's eyes and pretend it is, when really they're just trying to, serve themselves. And I just have a feeling this isn't going to end well for them. When you try to fool the masses with your sugar pill that isn't real, that's really helping you, history doesn't look kindly on that. History won't look kindly on that. There will be a moment in the future where people will point to this and go, we know what you tried to do, and it did, and it wasn't good for you. Can you imagine a doctor running around saying, take this pill, it cures, it'll make you grow your hair back, right? Well, the doctor's going to be really popular for a while. He's going to be really popular for a while, until there's a bunch of bald people chasing him, yelling at him, right? And give me my money back, right?
Yeah.
So I just don't see this having a happy ending for the entities that are knowingly misleading people. Plain and simple.
I agree.
People that this is better for the market and better for buyers and sellers. Let's move on.
Okay.
Let's move on. Let's talk about unauthorized showings.
Oh, yeah. So that was presented by Mark Scholes. He's one of our great moderators in Masters in Real Estate, by the way. Can't say enough about the moderators. I do not police the group. I haven't for, a year and a half. We have moderators that are on top of it. And these are like amazing brokers. They're all seasoned and experienced, as is Mark. And he had some unauthorized showings, which is a grave mistake, because the one thing that realtors have right now.
Explain what you mean by unauthorized showing. It's where somebody just shows up to the house without going through the lock,
so all listings have, without reading, that's a long post, but you have showing instructions, and it's very important that people follow them, because look, realtors are walking up to a house and they need to know where the lockbox is, and you take the key and what door that key unlocks, and is there an alarm, and where is the keypad, and what's the code? I mean, there's a lot, because we're walking into a house blind and automatically we have to know everything. And so if you do not follow the directions and do not read the remarks, that is a grave error. And people are more strict about it now, because if, in the past, if you saw a house and it said vacant, a lot of times they're like, oh, hey, it's vacant, let's just go in. But maybe you had the floors reglazed, the hardwood floors reglazed that morning. Maybe the daughter moved back for spring break because she had nowhere to go, and she's living in the vacant house as a crash pad. There could be, maybe there's radon testing. Maybe there's, it's just fumigated for bugs. There's lots of reasons that you need to follow the directions, even though it's vacant. And, heaven forbid it's owner occupied, you absolutely have to follow directions. And when people just show up and beat their own drum, you're going to have pissed off people, and it's all going to fall back on the listing agent's shoulders. And on this one, Mark took action. 2 people did unauthorized showings. They just went into a house without the proper notification, and they didn't do it properly, and he turned them in.
That wrapped to our entire industry. I've been at listing appointments where sellers are paranoid about having a lockbox on their house because they're afraid of this. They say, we don't want a lockbox because we don't want someone to just come into our house. And I try to assure them that's not going to happen, but this is why that happens, that,
Yeah.
It's negative. Yeah. Keep going.
Well, and so we do have, other protections for that. Just because you have a lockbox, you can also have...
There are settings. You can...
a CBS code, call before showing code. Yeah. And you can't use the lockbox unless you also know that code. It's like, I can't use your debit card unless I know the PIN number.
Yeah. Yep.
So there are protections for that. But the one great freedom that we have as realtors is that our sellers allow us to have a key and keep it in our protected box and to go through the proper channels to allow access. And when that doesn't happen correctly, we do not want that to be taken away and go back to the olden days where you keep the keys of the house in the listing office and you have to go to each listing office and grab the keys and go to the house and then return them. It's a grave error, and I think Mark did a great job of saying, look, man, you didn't do it right. My clients are pissed at me, and now I'm pissed at you, and I'm not going to shake it off. And so...
Fine, it sounds like. Do you know what that fine is, Joe, by chance?
I don't know.
Yeah, probably $1,000 or so, I would be my guess. The general sentiment of the thread, I read all the comments, was most people were applauding that he turned them in. And they were saying, without this accountability, you're never going to get the bad actors to change their ways. If you just, which I'll be the first to tell you I'm guilty of, usually when this stuff has happened, and it always does, it does happen. I don't think I've ever turned somebody in, but then you give them a cranky text or call, and do they really change their ways, or do they just go, whatever, no big deal, move on and do it? So that was kind of the sentiment of the thread, was they were applauding that he did that, and that was better for the industry to police that and change things. Yeah,
I agree.
Let's go on to the next one. Next one is this is a good one. I haven't experienced with this one recently. It's Dill Ward that posted this. April 8th. Does it ever work to write a great offer day one on the market? Or is it always, we're going to wait, asking for a friend? Go ahead, Joe. What's your thoughts on this one?
It depends on what you're asking, and it depends on the price. If they come in over asking and great terms and it's a make me move type of a price, then accept it. You can only sell it to one party anyway, so you don't have to make a circus out of everything. However, if they come in just at full price and great terms and there is lots of other interest and you think maybe you could get another 20 grand, then wait. But not everything has to be a circus. I mean, this isn't the 2020 to 2022. So accept it if it's a good offer.
Yeah, I agree with you. Some of these agents who get frustrated in these situations, that's what they do, Joe. You hit the market on Thursday, Friday they show it. You have an open house scheduled for Saturday or Sunday or maybe both, and they give you a full price offer. And they're like, no, accept this, accept this, accept it. Hey, you didn't give me a reason to accept this. You gave me what we're asking. You didn't give me over. We took one live on LaBruce in Sherwood. We were at 165. We took it live on Thursday. We got a 175 offer Friday. And it said, you have to cancel the open and accept this right away. And we talked to our sellers and they said, yeah, we want to. And that was a good decision. That was a good decision. The risk versus reward matrix wasn't quite there. Like, are we guaranteed more than this? What if we say no to them at the 175? We do the open, we go through the weekend, and there is no other offer. You think they're still going to give us 175?
Yeah.
So I guess the answer in my opinion is they do work if you like you said, make me move. If you incentivize them to make it work. There was also a lot of comments on this thread that I appreciated, and it's something I've always believed. I like to be the first offer. I think sellers, and this comes from both sides of transactions, working with buyers and working with sellers. And here and now today, I work with a lot more sellers than I do buyers. If a house is eventually going to get 3 offers, I can assure you the first offer gets the most attention from the seller because it's the first one. They spend all this time getting it on the market. They're excited. You click live. The first offer comes over. Seller, you forward it to the seller. They're reading every line. They're asking questions. What does this mean? Oh, Bob Smith. They're going on Facebook looking at Bob Smith. They're paying attention, right? Do you think they're doing that on the second offer and the third offer as much? No, the first one was the most exciting one, right? So I do think there is an advantage to being the first offer. That's not to say you're not going to get beat out by somebody later, and you can modify your first offer if 2 other offers come in. But and I'm not guaranteeing that you're going to get your offer accepted if your first offer. All I'm saying is there is a lot of excitement with your offer by the seller's camp and possibly the listing agent because it is the first one. So
it's about good communication. You need to have constant communication with the listing agent without badgering them. And then also know if they set a deadline, if it goes on the market Friday, you come in hot with an offer, they have a deadline of Tuesday at 3:00. The seller has the right to accept whatever offer they want. So if they accept something before the deadline, don't make a voodoo doll of that listing agent because we only have so much control. If the seller says, you know what, I don't want to live in a fishbowl. This is great. I'm happy with it. Let's accept it. Everyone's going to hate you, the listing agent, but that is beyond their control. So look, don't think I can wait until Tuesday. Someone might come in and say, hey, look, I got a very enticing offer and I want you to accept it now.
Yeah.
And the other people are going to lose out. So, you can't negotiate an offer that isn't written and placed before the seller. So submit that offer.
Yeah.
Amend it later if you have to, but get it in there.
Yeah. I love that expression. Don't make a voodoo doll of that agent. I hope I don't have any voodoo dolls out there, Joe. Let's just be honest.
I'm sure you do.
I probably do. Except, okay, no, we did that one. Let's move on to the next subject. Quick and dirty is what you said here. That we're going to go through these ones fast. These were all your posts. By the way, you mentioned, I forget if we talked about this online. I've noticed that you've been doing some cool infographics with a lot of your posts. Joe.
Yeah.
That AI is helping you with.
Old guys can use AI too,
Yeah. This one was, should RMLS provide an option in the listing to post a link to showing agents? Share your thoughts. It's about videos for RMLS. Why don't you explain what your post was and then talk it through, Joe?
Okay. So let's use you as an example. You have tons of listings.
Me or my voodoo doll? Which one?
Yeah, I'm talking to both. It depends if you're on my good side or not.
Yeah.
You have lots of listings. And when you have listings that are in the millions, right, with an S, you want to make sure that the house is shown in the best light, that the alarm's turned off and all the lights are on. But you can't agent accompany all of your listings. Let's say you have 60 listings or 80 listings. You can't agent accompany every single listing. But if you do, then it's going to be someone on your team. And someone on your team is not you. They have less years experience, probably less knowledge, less time in the house, less information from the sellers. So then you're having someone kind of represent the house that doesn't know as much as you, the listing agent. It's just someone from the team. So when you're going to a high-end home that has special features that are unseen, or you go to acreage where there's a farm and there's all kinds of stuff to know, wouldn't it be great that you could make video instructions and say, the lockbox is located here. It opens this door. There's 3 keys in it. One's to the barn, one's to the shed, and one's to the house. And, here is where we have this, and don't miss this hidden feature. I mean, if you wrote down instructions in 4 paragraphs, then you're going to be faced with the realtors who don't read it all. They're not going to read 4 paragraphs, but if you can do it all in a 2-minute video, this is where you park, this is the side that you get entrance, and all the things they need to know. There's a key to the shop on the kitchen counter, and you can go unlock it. I mean, because of the NAR settlement, we can no longer, and George Perkins is really knowledgeable about RMLS and everything else. He's a local realtor and serves on boards. And because of that NAR settlement, we can't post a link in public or private remarks. But I'm asking, for the sake of having a successful showing, both for the selling agent who brings the buyer in, knowing what the hell they're doing, and for the sake of your sellers, that everything is done correctly, maybe a video is a little bit more expressive than 2 pages of instructions that are written.
Yeah. No, I thought it was a good idea, Joe. I thought it was a good idea. It was an interesting idea. I don't know if people would watch the videos or not. That was some of the comments. It's hard to say. It seems like they'd be more likely to watch that than reading instructions. That is interesting. I do see George Perkins' comment. Why would the settlement make it that you can't have a hyperlink? I kind of understand why you can't have dollars or numbers or
I don't know
rates listed, but
if the hyperlink gets hijacked, then it comes from the MLS system is what got you there to ransom your computer or give you a virus or whatever. I think they're just they're trying to limit the amount of things that go through RMLS out to the world for liability. But I did make a video. I have a listing going live Friday that's 5 acres and has a shop and a lot of idiosyncrasies, a pond. And anyway, I made a video, and the only place I can put it is in aligned showings. When someone schedules to show the house, it says, hey, here's special instructions. And it is a link. Now you can post the link into private remarks, but it will not be a hyperlink. So now you're asking the broker to hold it down, copy it, paste it into, a browser, then open it, then watch it. That's a tall order, especially if you're in your car and you're on your phone. I mean, you can still post a link. It just can't be a hyperlink. So I'm opting to do both.
Yeah.
Aligned showings and private remarks.
Let's move on to your next one. Key transfer. You created a great infographic. What is your ideal way of key transfer between brokers at closing?
So I always get two keys. When it's my listing, I always get two keys as a backup. Have you ever had someone show your house, forget to put the key? Yeah. So I always have two, one in the lockbox and one hidden, not in a lockbox. And look, how many times would you love to, give it to the other broker on a red ribbon or give it to your buyers and make a big production out of it? Well, closing dates change. And sometimes when it closes, you're not immediately available. So I always try and have one available where it's effective. A key should be near the lock it unlocks. It doesn't do any good at the title company. It doesn't do good locked in your office at the front desk. It should be somewhere on property. So the minute it closes, what's the thing the buyer says? How do we get the key? That's the first thing they say. Or they say, oh, great. How do we get the key? And there is a key somewhere on the property. If I can't be there to hand it to somebody, I can get them in. And then all the rest of them will be inside. And that's what I prefer to do. I even make a video of where it's hidden. So
love your videos, Joe. I'm noticing you love your videos.
Yeah.
Hey, there was a funny comment here that I want to share with our audience. Mark Schultz, your moderator. Said, this was funny, and there was a funny comment about it. He said, in a perfect world, the buyer's agent will get the key from the lockbox in the morning of closing. I will then remove the lockbox before recording. If this doesn't fit my schedule, I'll put a key in a fake rock and give it as a gift to the buyer. At the end of the spectrum, this is where the joke comes in. If the transaction has been challenging in quotes, I believe my lockbox might be at risk of damage, I'll leave the key at my office desk for the buyer's agent to retrieve in person. Billy Perda commented and said, Mark Schultz, I'll count myself lucky I haven't had any deals that made me feel my lockbox was in jeopardy. You've seen the full gamut of deals.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny. There's definitely a voodoo doll of you if they're damaging your lockbox.
Oh, yeah.
There's definitely a voodoo doll of you. So there we go. Let's move on to the next one.
I don't like taking the key off property, though. Because now, a buyer has to go to your office or the title company. It could be after hours. It should be on property, well hidden.
Yeah. I think in our world, Joe, what we've traditionally done is just we wait till we communicate with the buyer's agent. When you're getting the key, great, we'll get the lockbox after that. I mean, that's what we do. And it's usually after recording. Open house blackout. This was interesting. I wasn't sure what we do here. So we have a group text thread for all my team, and I sent them all a little text asking them. And interestingly enough, I got both answers.
Oh, really?
So we as a team do both. We black out the open house and some don't black out the open house. So your question was, do you black out or block out a property from aligned showings or showing time when you're planning to hold an open house? Great question, Joe, by the way.
Thank you.
I hadn't really thought of this. And you said there is a story behind this that I might share on the podcast next week, but just wondering, do you block out showings during your open house? So there's a lot of comments on both ways. Some are for it, some are against it. And interestingly enough, two different team members in my world said both ways. So I don't know if there's a right answer and I don't know if there's a wrong answer. Why don't you tell us your story?
So the New York version is I had a house and it was live on Friday and it was an absolute blackout. Every half-hour segment of when the house is available was blacked out. And so that put me in a no-win situation where people are like, I want to go show my buyer, but there's no appointments left. And the only thing we could do is do an open house. So if I do an open house during that, 12 to 3, the people that have appointments during 12 to 3 are going to be pissed at me because they're not having a private showing. It's an open house.
So your question is a little different. You created the open house after there were private showings there.
Well, it was becoming a blackout, and we decided some brokers in my office wanted to hold it open, and I'm like, sure. And this person who was showing it during that time was there during an open house, and there were 25 people, and then she really got pissy with me and
Yeah.
said, I thought I had a private showing. It's an open house.
She had scheduled it as a private showing.
Yeah. And I don't know if that came first or the open house came first.
Oh, okay.
And
because I think that could matter. That could
yes,
matter.
and it could very well could
have
have
a private showing scheduled, and she had looked, and there was no open house there, and then you guys decided to do an open house. You probably should have called her and said, "Hey, heads up, there's no other openings. I'm trying to do an open house, and I'm going to do it during your showing."
Yeah,
sorry, and at least tell her that, even if she has fire breathing words back at you, you can.
Yeah, and I think she had like just cause. I never really thought about it before, because how often do you have a blackout from Friday till Sunday night?
That's crazy.
Not very often. So
how many offers did you end up getting?
15.
Jeez.
And
where was this?
Alameda, but it was like completely original, but it had lots of square footage, and it went for like 150 over.
Wow.
And anyway, and I didn't expect it to go that crazy, but it did. And when you're getting like 50 phone calls a day, and you're getting texts, and you're getting emails, and people pissy that they can't get in, I just said, hey, look, let's keep it open. Everyone can see it. It's not a big deal. And I didn't even think that I should call these people and say, hey, we're having it open during this time because there's not enough calendar for the people that want to see it.
Yeah.
So she called me pissy, even though when you post an open house, Brokers Open or regular, it's on the listing. I mean, you can see it, right? Yeah. And I think Aligned Showing kind of pushes it if you're doing it. But anyway, that's where it came about. In regular markets, I'm not going to black it out for, if I put an open house for the weekend, I'm going to put it in on Thursday or Friday. All the brokers know that it's an open house. So I'm not going to block it out and make it open house only. It's come one, come all,
Yeah. Yeah. Jen Sosi, she's a great agent on my team. She said, I never do. If people are making a showing request at that time, I will call them and let them know that we are having an open house. She said, in parentheses, that should be in the notes, but no one reads them, which is a lot of what people are saying here. And let them know if they want a private showing, it will have to be scheduled another time. And there was a lot of sentiment on both sides of this. There was a couple comments where they said they wished that Aligned would show an open house in the calendar. And that is great feedback for RMLS.
Yes.
It would be wonderful if when you're going to schedule your showing, if you could see there, oh, there's an open house. I want a private showing. I'm not going to go there. Or I don't care. We'll go to the open house, so that you're not relying on them just reading the public comments or the open house itself.
Well, aligned, if you have a price reduction, it will push to everybody that ever made an appointment, whether you've been there or not already. If you made an appointment, Aligned will say, hey, this went from $889 to $869. And that's great. And I wish they would do that with open houses too. But look, I don't really care. What's the difference? I mean, yes, a private showing's a little better. You could speak freely, but if it's between seeing the house or not seeing the house, I'd rather see the house and just shut up until we get away from people and then have candid conversations.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on, tech advances. Okay. This was another post by you with an infographic. What favorite technological advances in real estate? I will say one, as I was reading this, one was here that I love, that I'll spend a second talking about. Onyx Hunt. This was shown to me years ago by another agent. We were at a rural property, and she pulled out her phone and she opened the app. It's called Onyx Hunt, and as it sounds like, it is a hunting application. It's a hunting app. It's intended to be for hunters, so that they can, in real time, go on a map, and it shows where you are. It shows property lines. It shows owners' names of who owns those properties. It shows a blue dot of where you are on that property. And as you walk towards the edge, you see, okay, I'm on the property line right now. It's incredibly helpful when you're looking at acreage properties. And it's kind of impressive to sellers. I'm going to be honest. If I'm at an acreage listing appointment, I frequently will open that app.
Yeah.
I'll ask them, I'll say, hey, where's your property line over here? And then I'll open that app and I'll pull it up and I'll show them. I'll go, yeah, this is an app I have. And they're very impressed by that. They think it's pretty snazzy that we have that. So that's a cool one that I like.
That is snazzy. And it's great, whether you're hunting deer or mushrooms, to kind of know when you're venturing into private property, it's important to know. The ones that I like, I love that I just mobilely deposited $20,000 for earnest money. I just took a picture of the front and back, and then, a half hour later, it's like, we just got earnest money for this particular house. A half hour later, I got a receipt. That was cool. I've never done that before. And I know that we have the mobile banking, but I think you can only deposit up to $5,000 or $10,000 in our personal. But with these earnest money deposits, there's no limit. You just take a picture of the front and back, deposited, no courier, no mailing it, no going by an office. The other thing I like is you can have your out-of-state sellers sign via Zoom. They have to have a video camera, but they can sign via Zoom, and there's no FedExing original docs across the United States and getting a notary. And then, the person that worked the paperwork is the one explaining it directly to them.
That's awesome.
And they sign. It's great. That's one of my favorites. And AI.
Yeah. This isn't new. I've been using this now for 6-7 years, and it's out there. People know about it at this point. When we first started using it, people didn't. Is Forewarn? You've heard of Forewarn, right?
Yeah.
This is an everything app. It's a safety app for sure, because when somebody calls you and says, I want to go see 123 Main Street, you're listing at 123 Main Street, it's a vacant house, can you show it to me? You can take their phone number, you put it in, it gives you their name, their background check,
criminal record,
everything about them. Tell you all phone numbers they've ever had, all addresses they've ever had. It's very, very thorough. So it's a safety app, but it's also really helpful. We use it to manage our database. Mm-hmm. We can see where past clients now live. We can see believe it or not, we sometimes figure out. We can figure out if a husband and wife got divorced since we worked with them. Like because you can pull up the husband, you can pull up the wife, and they live in different places. You're like, okay, we probably should break them up in our database. We use it a lot for our database cleanup. We use it a lot for researching new leads. There is a new feature that just rolled out with it that is brand new. They didn't charge more for it, and you can now put in an address, and it pulls up all people associated with that address, including their phone numbers. Yeah. Their again, all things they have.
True people search and all those pay for.
So if now your buyer calls you up and says, hey, Steve, I like 123 Main Street. It's not on the market. Do you think they're interested in selling? I see it's vacant or something. You can literally put that in there, and Forewarn will now quickly spit out who's associated with that address. All people associated with that address. Powerful tool. I'm a big fan of that one as well. Safe or hidden rooms. This is our last real subject, and we're going to end with a little fun note. And how do you let other realtors know that a house has a hidden room or a safe room that's included in the sale? This was your post again, Joe. Do you want to talk to that one?
Yeah. So obviously there's you don't want to disclose hidden rooms to the world at the surface level, just marketing, or a room that has a, bolted down safe that is part of the sale. And so there's a pecking order of how you do it. You don't necessarily have to wait until you have an offer, because what if you have a hidden room that's 20 by 10, and that would be the difference whether someone makes an offer or not. They just don't know about it. So one Jim Gestas, I'm probably murdering that last name, but he says in private notes, property includes a concealed room and or built-in safe. For security reasons, access is restricted. and managed in staged disclosures. And the process would be feature disclosed in agent remarks only, and the private remarks, no public marketing, access not provided during standard showings, but stage one after accepted offer, buyer and buyer's agents to sign an NDA, non-disclosure agreement. Listing agent will be present to show the concealed room or safe. And then stage two, post-contingency removal of the inspection plus financing if applicable. Prior to closing, listing agent will provide instructions on the safe or the hidden room. I like where this is going because you are divulging sort of secret information, by the way, for the protection of the new buyer. Right? When you go into a listing and it says, hey, put on booties or take off your shoes, that's not necessarily for the seller. That's for the new buyer. Don't track through mud through the house that could be your house. Mm-hmm. This is protecting your privacy as well as the sellers while they own it. And I like the way he has it, because if you shout from a mountaintop and say, hey, there's a hidden room and here it is, and it's on the video and all the photos, well, it's not a hidden room anymore.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I've sold a lot of homes with secret rooms, hidden rooms. By the way, everybody loves a good secret room.
Oh, yeah.
Kids love it the most. We adults are right behind them. Everybody loves a good secret room. I love me a good secret room. Honestly, I haven't given this a ton of thought. It makes sense. The questions you bring up make sense. Normally, a lot of our showings are agent accompanied. A lot of times based on the level of interest, we're showing it early on, but maybe we shouldn't. So good conversation, Joe. Okay, let's go to the funny one and then we're done. This has been a great show, by the way. We talked about
tons of stuff.
Yeah, we were going to have a action-packed agenda, and I don't think we've disappointed. So this is purely for entertainment. We'll close on this one. So there's Carolyn Monroe Callis on April 18th said, yay, so on my new listing, I meant to write beach public access, but sure enough, I wrote pubic access instead. Let's hope sex sells as well as they say it does. And then it started a whole plethora of typos that others have made on their listings over the years. And Joe, we're just going to go through these, a couple at a time. And
oh, yeah.
I'll let you kick it off, and you can read a couple, and then I'll read a couple. And there was a lot of hooting and hollering here, and it's kind of fun.
Yeah. So, mistakes happen. What's sad about it is when it auto-populates to the third-party syndicates, even though you edit it in RMLS, sometimes it doesn't always edit on those other sites, and it's a mistake. Vicki Arnold, instead of saying pantry in kitchen, it says panties in kitchen. That's a big mistake, and you can edit it, but if it doesn't edit everywhere, you still have to live with it.
Yeah. Yep. Gina Gerhardt Adamson said, I once wrote, feel free to field me on a farming flyer instead of feel free to call me. My friend lived in the neighborhood and she called me and said, wow, Gina, you'll do anything for a listing.
Yeah.
Another one was Kate Willie. She said, I was on a hiring committee in college and a guy submitted his resume and cover letter and wrote pubic communications repeatedly. And he was a really good candidate, but we couldn't stop laughing. We did still give him an interview. It's probably the one word I double check every time. Some of these words, that's the funny part, is some of these words, spell check doesn't catch it because they are.
It's a word. You typo a word to be a different word, and heaven forbid if your typo makes a naughty word. Like this one, this person's famous. Like this is a newspaper ad promoting a house, and this is like
funny.
30 years old, and basically
It's
home with a large lot, family room with fireplace, huge dick for entertaining and enjoying the views. That's a hell of a typo. I mean, she meant to write large dick. No, I'm kidding. Instead of deck, the typo is an I, and she put huge dick. And 30 years later, people are just still sharing it.
Still sharing it. So, and this was a newspaper. In those days, you don't get to go onto to a website and edit it and change it.
No.
This went out to all the newspapers. And I'm sure she has never lived that one down. She has never lived that one
She's
down.
probably not alive. Look at the phone numbers. There's no area codes. That's how long ago it was, and it's still being circulated.
Yeah.
But typos can be funny, but gosh.
Hey, this was a great show, Joe. Good.
It was a long one.
Yes, it was long. We'll let our audience go. Thank you guys all for tuning in. This has been fun. And we'll get this pushed out to everybody here soon and out as a podcast. It's here on Masters to watch for as a video as well. And we're glad you joined us.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to the Portland Real Estate Podcast, Oregon and Washington's #1 show for cutting-edge real estate discussions. Also, I'd like to give a shout out to the members of Masters in Real Estate, a private and exclusive Facebook group, and the #1 source for all real estate topics. Thanks for being there, gang. I love you. Finally, I want to thank our faithful listeners. Without an audience, we're just two guys talking to each other. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so the new episodes automatically come to you. Make it great.